Jake Morrison stood at the observation deck of Aegis Station, watching Earth slowly rotate below. The blue marble looked peaceful from here, with white clouds drifting across the continents. He had been protecting this view for 3 years now, and nothing had ever gone wrong. Today felt different, though. Something in the air made him nervous. His coffee mug sat half empty on the control panel. The morning shift was always quiet. Most people on Earth were just starting their day. Kids heading to school, adults going to work. 8 billion people living their normal lives. Jake checked the defense sensors one more time. Everything showed green. No threats detected anywhere. In the solar system, the first sign of trouble came at exactly 9:47 Earth Standard Time. A strange reading appeared on the quantum scanners. Jake frowned and tapped the screen. The reading showed an energy wave moving across Earth's surface. But it was unlike anything he had ever seen. It moved fast, covering entire continents in minutes. Jake grabbed his communication device and called down to Earth Control. "This is Aegis Station. We're detecting some kind of energy pulse moving across the planet. Can you confirm what this is?" The voice that answered sounded confused. "Aegis Station, we're not showing anything unusual down here. All systems are normal." But Jake could see it clearly on his screens. The wave had already covered half the planet and was moving toward the other half. He switched to the emergency channel and broadcast to all stations. "All units, this is Aegis. Station, we have an unknown energy phenomenon affecting Earth. All ships return to base immediately." 20 minutes later, the wave had covered the entire planet and disappeared. Jake waited for reports, but none came. He tried calling Earth Control again. No answer. He tried the backup channels. Still nothing. His hands started shaking as he realized something terrible had happened. Jake activated the emergency protocols and sent automated drones down to the surface. What they found made his blood run cold. The drones flew over cities that should have been busy with morning traffic. Instead, the streets were filled with cars that had stopped in the middle of the road. People lay motionless on sidewalks, in parks, and in their homes. They looked like they were sleeping, but Jake knew they weren't sleeping. In London, a drone found a school playground where children had collapsed while playing. In New York, subway trains sat empty in tunnels with passengers slumped in their seats. In Tokyo, entire office buildings were silent. The drones kept searching, but the story was the same everywhere. People had simply stopped breathing. Jake sent an emergency message to all human colonies across the galaxy. His voice shook as he recorded it. "This is Commander Jake Morrison at Aegis Station. Earth has been attacked by an unknown weapon. 3 billion people are dead. I repeat, 3 billion people are dead. We need immediate assistance." Dr. Lisa Carter received the message at the medical research station on Luna. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. She had just talked to her sister on Earth that morning. Her sister had been making breakfast for her kids, complaining about the weather. Now she was gone. Lisa gathered her team and prepared to go down to Earth. They needed to understand what had killed so many people so quickly. The shuttle ride down was the longest 30 minutes of her life. She kept looking at Earth, trying to see some sign of life, but the planet looked dead. They landed in what used to be downtown Chicago. The city was eerily quiet. Cars sat abandoned in the streets. Traffic lights still worked, changing from red to green to yellow with no one to watch them. Lisa and her team wore full protective suits, not knowing if whatever killed these people was still dangerous. They found the first body outside the spaceport. A man in a business suit lay on the ground, his briefcase still in his hand. Lisa scanned him with her medical equipment. He showed no signs of injury, no burns, no wounds. He looked perfectly healthy, except for being dead. They examined more. Bodies throughout the city. Every single person they found had died the same way. No violence, no visible cause of death. They had just stopped living. Lisa took tissue samples and blood samples, hoping to find answers. Back at her lab, Lisa worked for 18 hours straight. What she found terrified her. The energy wave had changed something in human DNA. It was like a switch had been turned off. The weapon was designed specifically for humans. It wouldn't have hurt any other species on Earth. Someone had targeted humanity with surgical precision. Captain Ryan Hayes was 3 weeks away from Earth when he got Jake's message. He commanded the deep space vessel Valiant, which was on patrol, near the edge of the solar system. His crew of 40 men and women had been away from Earth for 6 months. They were looking forward to going home. When Ryan heard Jake's message, he ordered his ship to maximum speed toward Earth. The journey back felt like it took forever. His crew was mostly quiet, trying to process what they had heard. Many of them had families on Earth. Ryan tried to stay strong for them, but inside he was falling apart. His wife and 2 daughters lived in Denver. The Valiant reached Earth 3 days later. Ryan could see the other ships that had returned from patrol. There were 12 vessels in total, carrying maybe 2,000 people. That was all that remained of humanity in space when the attack happened. Ryan took a shuttle down to Aegis Station to meet with Jake. The 2 men sat in the conference room, looking out at the planet below. Jake looked like he hadn't slept in days. His eyes were red, and his hands shook when he picked up his coffee cup. "Do we know who did this?" Ryan asked. Jake shook his head. No ships were detected. No radio signals. Nothing. They hit us and disappeared. Like ghosts. What about the colonies? Safe so far. But whoever did this, they wanted us to know it was on purpose. They could have killed everyone, but they left exactly half alive. They wanted survivors to see what they could do. Ryan felt sick. 3 billion people dead, including his family, and they didn't even know why. He looked at the reports Lisa had sent up from the surface. The weapon was beyond anything humans could build. It was alien technology, and it was meant to send a message. President Maria Santos had been in a bunker on the far side of the moon when the attack happened. She was one of the lucky ones who survived, but she didn't feel lucky. Half her planet was gone. Half her people were dead, and she had no idea who to blame or how to fight back. She called together the surviving government officials and military commanders. They met in a secure facility on Luna, looking out at Earth through the windows. The planet looked so peaceful, but they all knew the truth now. "We're going to find whoever did this," Maria said to the group, "and we're going to make them pay." Admiral Kevin Brooks nodded. "I'm mobilizing every ship we have. We'll search every star system if we have to." But even as they made their plans, they all knew the truth. Humanity had been caught completely off guard. Someone out there had weapons that could kill billions of people without even showing themselves. Earth's defenses had been useless. The human race had just learned they were not alone in the universe, and they were not the strongest species out there. Jake Morrison continued his watch from Aegis Station, but now he was watching over a graveyard. 3 billion people lay dead below, and the survivors didn't even know if the attackers would come back to finish the job. All they could do was wait and hope they would be ready next time. 3 weeks had passed since the silent death swept across Earth. Dr. Lisa Carter hadn't slept properly in days. She kept finding new things about the attack that made no sense. The alien weapon was too perfect, too precise. It was like someone had studied human biology for years before striking. Lisa was working late in her lab when she received an encrypted message on her personal communication device. The message was simple: "Report to Nevada Facility 7 immediately. Come alone, tell no one." It was signed by someone called Colonel Amy Davis. Lisa had never heard of Nevada Facility 7. She checked all the official databases, but found nothing. According to every record she could access, no such place existed. But the message came through secure government channels, so someone important wanted to see her. The flight to Nevada took 6 hours. Lisa's shuttle landed at what looked like an ordinary desert research station. A few small buildings, some communication towers, nothing special. But when she walked through the front door, she found an elevator that went down much further than any building should go. Colonel Amy Davis was waiting for her 30 floors underground. Amy was a tall woman with gray hair and serious eyes. She wore a military uniform that Lisa didn't recognize. Behind her stretched a corridor that seemed to go on forever, with heavy doors on both sides. "Dr. Carter," Amy said, "what I'm about to show you is classified at the highest level. You'll sign documents saying you were never here. But after what happened to Earth, some secrets need to come out." Amy led Lisa down the corridor. Through small windows in the doors, Lisa could see rooms filled with strange equipment. Some rooms had what looked like medical devices. Others had computers running programs she couldn't understand. But it was the rooms at the end of the corridor that made her stop walking. Each room contained a single bed with someone lying on it. Tubes and wires connected the sleeping person to machines that monitored their vital signs. Lisa counted dozens of rooms, each with one sleeper. They looked human, but something was different about them. Their skin had a strange glow, and their muscles looked too big for normal people. "Who are they?" Lisa asked. Amy stopped at one of the rooms and looked through the window. "They're volunteers from a program that officially never existed. We called it Project Cerberus. When humanity started exploring space, we found things out there. Dangerous things. Things that conventional weapons couldn't hurt." Lisa pressed her face to the window. The man inside looked like he was in his 30s, but his medical readouts showed impossible numbers. His heart rate was too slow. His brain activity was too high, and his blood chemistry was completely wrong. "We tried everything against the creatures we found," Amy continued. "Nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, biological weapons. Nothing worked. These things fed on energy, or they existed in dimensions we couldn't understand, or they were made of materials that didn't follow physics. We were losing colonies and ships to monsters that shouldn't exist." Amy led Lisa to another room. This one contained a woman who had metal implants visible under her skin. Her arms and legs looked like they had been rebuilt with machinery. Lisa could see her breathing, but her chest barely moved. "So we made a choice," Amy said. "We took volunteers and changed them. Genetic modification, cybernetic enhancement, psychological conditioning. We turned humans into something that could fight the darkness between the stars." Lisa felt sick. "You experimented on people?" "They volunteered," Amy said firmly. "Every single one. They knew what would happen to them. They knew they might not come back human. But they did it anyway, because someone had to protect humanity from things that wanted to eat us." They walked further down the corridor. Amy explained that there were 13 facilities like this one, spread across different continents. Each facility contained different types of enhanced soldiers. Some were built for stealth, others for raw strength. Some had mental abilities that normal humans couldn't understand. "The program worked," Amy said. "We cleared out the monsters and made space safe for human colonies. Then we put these soldiers to sleep and locked them away. They were too dangerous to leave awake during peacetime." Lisa stopped walking. "But you woke them up after the attack?" Amy nodded. "The facility's automated systems detected the alien bioweapon. They were programmed to wake the soldiers if humanity faced extinction. Ben Tucker was the first to wake up." Amy led Lisa to the end of the corridor, where a different kind of room waited. This one had reinforced walls and a much stronger door. Through the window, Lisa could see a man sitting on the edge of his bed. He was awake, and he was looking directly at her. Ben Tucker didn't look like the other sleepers. He was bigger, with muscles that seemed too large for his frame. His eyes were completely black, with no visible pupils. When he saw Lisa, he smiled, and she could see that his teeth had been replaced with something that looked like metal. "He's been awake for 2 days," Amy said. The first thing he asked about was the alien attack. He wanted tactical reports, casualty numbers, and enemy capabilities. He didn't ask about his family or friends. He didn't ask how long he'd been asleep. He just wanted to know about the threat. Lisa watched Ben through the window. He moved wrong, like his body was too strong for normal human motion. When he stood up, she could see that his spine had metal reinforcements visible under his skin. "What did they do to him?" she asked. "Everything we could think of," Amy replied. "His bones are reinforced with synthetic materials. His nervous system has been enhanced with quantum processors. His organs have been rebuilt to function in vacuum or toxic atmospheres. His brain has been modified to process information faster than any computer we had at the time." Ben noticed them watching and walked to the window. When he spoke, his voice came through speakers in the wall. It sounded human, but there was something cold about it. "Colonel Davis," he said, "I need to speak with the commanding officer about deployment options." Amy pressed a button to reply. "Ben, this is Dr. Carter. She's been studying the alien weapon." Ben looked at Lisa with those black eyes. "Doctor, do you have a biological analysis of the weapon? I need to know if the aliens will use it again." Lisa found her voice. "The weapon was designed specifically for human DNA. It wouldn't work on any other species. But yes, they could use it again if they wanted to." Ben nodded. "Then we need to find them before they do. How many of my unit are awake?" Amy checked a display on the wall. 12 so far. The others are still in the revival process. "Wake them all," Ben said. "We have work to do." Captain Ryan Hayes arrived at the facility later that day. He had been called in to evaluate the enhanced soldiers and decide whether they should be deployed. When he met Ben in person, he understood why these people had been locked away. Ben moved like a machine. Every gesture was precise and calculated. When he shook Ryan's hand, Ryan felt like his bones might break from the grip. But it was Ben's eyes that bothered him the most. There was intelligence there, but no warmth, no humanity. "Captain," Ben said, "I understand you're evaluating our combat readiness." Ryan nodded. "That's right. I need to know if your people can work with regular military units." Ben's smile was cold. "Captain, we weren't designed to work with regular humans. We were designed to fight things that regular humans can't fight. But we can adapt to whatever mission parameters you set." They walked through the facility together. Ben introduced Ryan to the other awakened soldiers. Each one was different, but they all had the same cold intelligence in their eyes. They spoke about the alien attack like it was a tactical problem to be solved, not a tragedy that had killed billions of people. "Don't you feel anything about what happened?" Ryan asked. Ben stopped walking and looked at him. "Feeling is a luxury. We gave up, Captain. We are tools designed for one purpose, to keep humanity alive. The 3 billion who died are gone. We can't change that, but we can make sure it doesn't happen again." Admiral Kevin Brooks received the reports about the enhanced soldiers and felt conflicted. They were clearly powerful and dangerous, but they were also humanity's best hope against whoever had attacked Earth. The question was whether they could be controlled once they were released. President Maria Santos made the final decision in a closed meeting with her top advisors. The enhanced soldiers would be awakened and deployed, but they would be monitored constantly. If they became a threat to the surviving human population, they would be stopped. Amy Davis delivered the orders to Ben personally. "You and your people are being activated for combat operations. You'll have full access to ships, weapons, and supplies. Ben nodded. Understood. We'll need transportation to the other facilities to wait the rest of our people. How many are we talking about? Amy asked. Ben's smile was terrifying. Enough to make sure that whoever killed 3 billion humans learns what happens when you attack Earth. Lisa Carter watched from the observation room as the enhanced soldiers prepared for deployment. They moved with mechanical precision, checking weapons and equipment with inhuman speed. She had helped create the analysis that led to their awakening. But now she wondered if humanity had just released something worse than the aliens who attacked them. The sleeping giants were awake, and they were hungry for war. President Maria Santos sat in the secure conference room on Luna, looking at the faces of the 5 people who would decide humanity's future. Admiral Kevin Brooks, Colonel Amy Davis, Dr. Lisa Carter, and 2 other high-ranking officials whose names would never appear in any public record. Outside the windows, Earth hung in space like a wounded animal. Before we vote, Maria said, I want everyone to understand what we're doing. We're not just releasing soldiers. We're releasing weapons that we built to fight monsters. Once they're out, we might not be able to put them back. Admiral Brooks pulled up the tactical displays on the conference table. We have reports of alien ships moving toward our outer colonies. They're taking their time, probably expecting easy targets. If we don't act soon, they'll kill the rest of us. Amy Davis spoke next. There are 13 Prometheus vaults across Earth. Each one contains specialized units designed for different types of warfare. Ben Tucker's group is just the beginning. Lisa Carter had been quiet during most of the meeting, but now she spoke up. I've reviewed the medical files on all the enhanced soldiers. What they did to these people goes beyond anything we thought was possible. They're not human anymore. But they're loyal to humanity, Amy replied. Every psychological test confirms. Are they? Lisa asked. Or are they loyal to their idea of what humanity should be? The vote was close, but the decision was made. All 13 vaults would be opened. The enhanced soldiers would be given full authority to hunt down and destroy the aliens who had attacked Earth. God help them all. The awakening began at exactly midnight Earth Standard Time, in vaults buried under deserts, mountains, and ocean floors. Thousands of enhanced soldiers opened their eyes for the first time in decades. Each vault contained different specialties, different modifications, different capabilities. Captain Susan Miller woke up in the Arctic Vault, surrounded by her Wraith Division. These soldiers had been modified for stealth operations that defied physics. Their bodies could become partially intangible, allowing them to phase through solid matter for short periods. Susan sat up on her revival bed and immediately began checking the quantum fields around her body. Everything was working perfectly. Major Chris Anderson commanded the Titan Brigade from a vault beneath the Sahara Desert. His soldiers were walking tanks, their bodies reinforced with nanotechnology that made them nearly indestructible. Chris flexed his arms and felt the molecular armor shifting under his skin. His bones were now harder than diamonds. His muscles could lift 10 tons without strain. Lieutenant Colonel Rachel Foster led the psychic corps from a vault hidden under the Pacific Ocean. Her people had been modified to perceive and manipulate reality in ways that would drive normal humans insane. Rachel opened her mind and immediately sensed the thoughts of her soldiers awakening around her. She could feel their hunger for battle. Ben Tucker coordinated the awakening from Nevada. As the senior officer, he took command of all enhanced units. His tactical displays showed soldiers coming online across the globe. Each unit reported ready for immediate deployment. No one asked about their families or the world they had left behind. They only wanted to know about the enemy, the enhanced. Soldiers worked with frightening efficiency. Within hours of awakening, they had requisitioned ships, weapons, and supplies from every military depot on Earth. Regular military personnel found themselves taking orders from people who moved too fast and thought too clearly to be entirely human. Dr. Carter observed the process from Aegis Station. She watched as enhanced soldiers loaded equipment onto modified warships with mechanical precision. They didn't waste time with small talk or complaints. They simply did their jobs with inhuman dedication. Jake Morrison, still commanding Aegis Station, felt nervous watching the enhanced soldiers work. They moved through his station like they owned it, upgrading systems and installing equipment he didn't recognize. When he asked Ben Tucker what they were doing, the answer chilled him. "We're preparing to hunt," Ben said simply. "Your defensive systems are designed to protect Earth from normal threats. We face something much more dangerous." The enhanced soldier ships were unlike anything in the regular fleet. The vessels had been modified during the original project. Cerberus, equipped with weapons and shields that used technology most humans couldn't understand. The ships looked wrong, with angles that hurt to look at and hulls that seemed to bend light around them. Captain Ryan Hayes commanded one of the few regular warships assigned to work with the enhanced soldiers. His crew was terrified of their new allies. The enhanced soldiers spoke in technical jargon that made no sense, and they treated normal humans like children who might get hurt if they weren't careful. When Ryan asked Susan Miller about her division's capabilities, her answer made him wish he hadn't asked. "We can walk through walls, Captain. We can step between dimensions. We can be in 3 places at once if we need to be. Your job is to stay out of our way and provide support when we ask for it." The enhanced soldiers established their command center in a modified asteroid mining station near Jupiter. From there, they could monitor all human space and respond to threats quickly. The station's computers were upgraded with quantum processors that worked faster than anything normal humans had built. Rachel Foster set up her psychic monitoring network from the command center. Her enhanced mind could sense thoughts and emotions across vast distances. She immediately detected the alien fleet moving toward human colonies, and what she found disturbed even her modified consciousness. "They're not just attacking randomly," she reported to Ben Tucker. "They have a plan. They want to study us while they kill us." Ben processed this information with mechanical calm. "How many ships?" "Approximately 200 vessels spread across 5 different fleets. They're hitting our outer colonies first, working their way toward Earth." Admiral Brooks received the intelligence reports from the enhanced soldiers and felt sick. 200 alien ships against humanity's remaining fleet of 30 vessels. It should have been hopeless, but Ben Tucker seemed confident. "Admiral," Ben said during their communication, "your ships should stay in Earth's system. We'll handle the aliens." "You only have 12 modified ships," Brooks replied. "They have 200. Ben's smile was terrifying, even over the video. "Link, Admiral, you're thinking like a normal human. We don't fight like normal humans." The first engagement came sooner than expected. An alien fleet of 50 ships attacked the colony at New Geneva, expecting to find the defenseless population. Instead, they found Ben Tucker's assault team waiting for them aboard the modified destroyer Nemesis. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it was over, no alien ships remained functional. The colonists on New Geneva watched from their emergency shelters as something impossible happened above their planet. The alien ships, which had seemed invincible with their crystalline hulls and energy weapons, were torn apart like paper toys. Ben Tucker's ship phased in and out of normal space, appearing inside the alien formation and firing weapons that turned matter into energy. Susan Miller's Wraith Division boarded alien vessels by walking through their hulls, then eliminated the crews from within. Chris Anderson's Titans simply grabbed alien ships and crushed them with their bare hands after boarding. the Enhanced. Soldiers fought like they were playing a game, coordinating their attacks with inhuman precision. They anticipated each other's moves perfectly, working together like parts of a single machine. The aliens never had a chance to understand what was happening to them. When the battle was over, the Enhanced soldiers captured several alien survivors for interrogation. The crystalline beings called themselves the Architects, and their terror was obvious even through their alien features. "What are you?" one of the captured Architects asked Ben Tucker through a translation device. Ben's answer was simple and terrifying. "We're what humans become when you threaten our species." News of the victory spread through human space like wildfire. The colonies that had been preparing for certain death suddenly had hope. The Enhanced soldiers had proven that the aliens could be beaten. But Dr. Carter, reading the battle reports from her lab, felt growing dread. The Enhanced soldiers hadn't just won the battle. They had dominated it completely, showing capabilities that seemed to violate the laws of physics. They were becoming something beyond human understanding. President Santos received reports from across human space. More alien fleets were being intercepted and destroyed by Enhanced soldier units. The pattern was always the same: total victory, achieved through methods that defied explanation. The Enhanced soldiers were saving humanity, but they were also changing what it meant to be human. And once that change began, there would be no going back. The interrogation room on the modified asteroid station was unlike anything the captured Architect had ever seen. The walls seemed to bend inward, creating angles that shouldn't exist in normal space. The lighting came from sources that cast no shadows. Ben Tucker sat across from the crystalline being, his black eyes reflecting no emotion. The Architect was roughly humanoid, but made of what looked like living crystal. Its body shifted colors as it spoke, and its voice came through a translation device that the Enhanced soldiers had built in minutes. The creature was clearly terrified, but it tried to maintain some dignity. "You call yourselves human," the Architect said, "but you are something else, something wrong." Ben leaned forward slightly. "Tell me about your people. Why did you attack Earth?" The Architect's colors shifted to what the translation device indicated was fear mixed with disgust. "We have watched your species for 300 of your years. We have seen what you do to yourselves, what you become when you are threatened." Dr. Carter watched the interrogation through a video link from her lab on Luna. She had been studying the captured aliens for weeks, trying to understand their biology and technology. What she was learning made her increasingly uncomfortable. "Your people modify themselves," the Architect continued. "You change your bodies, your minds, your very nature to survive. We have seen it before in other species. It always leads to the same end." Ben's expression didn't change. "What end?" "The end of everything natural. The end of the balance between species. You become a plague that spreads across the galaxy, changing everything you touch." The Architect's testimony revealed the truth about the attack on Earth. The aliens hadn't struck out of hatred or greed. They had attacked because they were afraid of what humanity was becoming. The bioweapon had been intended as a mercy killing, to stop humanity before it could spread its infection across the stars. Captain Ryan Hayes listened to the interrogation recordings from his ship, the Valiant. His crew was helping to patrol the outer colonies, while the Enhanced soldiers hunted the remaining alien fleets. What he heard made him question everything he thought he knew about humanity's place in the universe. "They're saying we're the monsters," his first officer, Lieutenant Kate Barnes, said after listening to the recordings. "That we're the ones other species should fear." Ryan looked out at the stars through his ship's view screen. Maybe they're right. The Enhanced soldiers continued their campaign against the Architect fleets with ruthless efficiency. Susan Miller's Wraith Division had perfected the art of walking through enemy halls and eliminating crews from within. They could phase through solid matter for up to 10 minutes at a time, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Major Chris Anderson's Titans had learned to use their enhanced strength in zero gravity. They would board alien ships and simply tear them apart from the inside, ripping through bulkheads and support structures with their bare hands. Their nanotechnology-enhanced bodies could survive in vacuum for hours. Rachel Foster's psychic cores had developed new abilities that even their creators hadn't anticipated. They could link their minds together to form a collective intelligence that could process information faster than any computer. They could also project their thoughts into alien minds, causing confusion and panic among enemy crews. The aliens' crystalline technology, which had seemed so advanced, proved vulnerable to the enhanced soldiers' weapons. The architects had built their ships to be beautiful and efficient, but not to fight against enemies who could ignore the laws of physics. Admiral Brooks monitored the battles from Earth, watching as his tactical displays showed alien fleet being destroyed. The enhanced soldiers were winning every engagement, but their methods were becoming increasingly disturbing. They're not just destroying the ships, his tactical officer reported. They're studying them, taking them apart piece by piece to understand how they work. Brooks watched the video feeds from the battlefields. Enhanced soldiers moved through wrecked alien vessels like researchers examining specimens. They showed no emotion, no satisfaction at their victories. They simply collected data and moved on to the next target. The captured architect revealed more information during subsequent interrogations. The aliens called humanity the Changers and had been debating what to do about them for decades. Some architects wanted to make contact and try to guide human development. Others, who had won the debate, believed humanity needed to be stopped before it was too late. "We have seen species like yours before," the architect told Ben Tucker. "They start by changing themselves to survive. Then they change to become stronger. Then they change because they can. In the end, they lose all connection to what they once were." Ben processed this information without apparent emotion. And then what happens? They consume everything, not for food or resources, but to fuel their endless transformation. They become a force of pure change, rewriting reality wherever they go. Dr. Carter found this testimony deeply troubling. She had been studying the enhanced soldiers for months, and their capabilities continued to evolve. They were learning, adapting, becoming more than their creators had intended. The next major battle took place at the colony world of New Hope. A fleet of 75 architect ships attacked what they thought was a lightly defended agricultural world. Instead, they found the entire enhanced soldier fleet waiting for them. The battle was recorded by colony sensors and broadcast throughout human space. What people saw changed everything. The enhanced soldiers didn't just fight the aliens. They danced around them, their ships moving in patterns that seemed choreographed. Susan Miller's Wraith Division phased their entire ship through an architect vessel, emerging on the other side while the alien ship collapsed into itself. Chris Anderson's Titans grabbed enemy ships with mechanical arms that shouldn't have been able to function in space, then threw them into each other like toys. The impacts created explosions that lit up the solar system. Rachel Foster's psychic cores turned the aliens' own weapons against them. Architect ships began firing on each other as their navigation systems were overridden by mental commands that traveled faster than light. When the battle ended, 75 alien ships had been destroyed in less than 20 minutes. The enhanced soldiers hadn't lost a single vessel. The colonists on New Hope came out of their shelters to find their sky filled with debris from the alien fleet. But what shocked them most was the sight of enhanced soldiers walking among the wreckage on the planet's surface, studying alien technology with clinical interest. One colonist, a farmer named Tom Wilson, approached Ben Tucker as he examined a piece of crystalline hull. "Are you really human?" Tom asked. Ben looked at him with those black eyes. We're what humans chose to become. The interrogation of the architect continued, revealing more about the aliens' fears. They had detected enhanced soldiers using abilities that shouldn't exist, manipulating space and time in ways that violated fundamental laws of physics. Your soldiers can step between dimensions, the architect said. They can be in multiple places simultaneously. They can think faster than light travels. These are not human abilities. Ben Tucker's response was chilling in its simplicity. They are now. The enhanced soldiers had begun upgrading themselves further, using technology captured from the aliens. They were incorporating architect crystalline structures into their own bodies, creating hybrid systems that combined human creativity with alien efficiency. Dr. Carter discovered this during a routine medical examination of Ben Tucker. Scans showed crystalline growths throughout his body, integrated with his existing cybernetic systems. When she asked him about it, his answer terrified her. We adapt, he said. We take what works and make it part of ourselves. It's what humans do. Admiral Brooks realized that the enhanced soldiers were no longer following orders in any traditional sense. They completed their missions, but they did so using methods and capabilities that weren't in any manual. They were evolving beyond their original programming. President Santos called an emergency meeting with her advisors. The enhanced soldiers were winning the war against the architects, but they were also becoming something that might be more dangerous than the aliens they were fighting. What have we done? She asked the group. Amy Davis, who had overseen the original Project Cerberus, spoke quietly. We gave them the tools to save humanity. The fact that they're using those tools in ways we didn't expect doesn't make them wrong. But Dr. Carter disagreed. They're not saving humanity. They're replacing it with something else. The final revelation came when the captured architect showed them recordings from other species the aliens had encountered. The video showed worlds where changers had lived, planets now empty of all life, covered instead with structures that seemed to grow and shift on their own. This is what you become, the architect said. This is why we tried to stop you. Ben Tucker watched the recordings without emotion. Those species failed because they changed without purpose. We changed to survive, to protect what we were. But as he spoke, his crystalline-enhanced eyes reflected light in patterns that no human eyes had ever shown. The monsters humanity had, created to fight monsters, were becoming something entirely new, and there was no going back. 6 months after the first architect attack, the war was over. The last alien fleet had been destroyed near the edge of human space, their crystalline ships reduced to glittering debris that caught the light of distant stars. But victory had come with a price that humanity was only beginning to understand. Dr. Lisa Carter stood in her lab on Luna, looking at the final battle reports. The numbers told a story that should have been impossible. The enhanced soldiers had destroyed over 400 alien ships across 17 star systems. They had lost exactly 0 vessels in combat. Not damaged, not crippled. 0. The enhanced soldiers showed no interest in returning to their underground vaults. When Admiral Brooks suggested they should go back into hibernation now that the threat was over, Ben Tucker's response was polite but firm. Admiral, the threat is never over. There will always be something out there that wants to hurt humanity. Instead of sleeping, the enhanced soldiers had integrated themselves into human society. They took positions in government, military, and civilian sectors. Their superhuman abilities made them valuable in ways that no one had anticipated. Susan Miller now ran security for all human colonies. Her Wraith division could patrol entire star systems in hours, appearing wherever they were needed without warning. Crime rates dropped to almost 0 within weeks of their deployment. Chris Anderson's Titans had become the backbone of human construction projects. They could build space stations with their bare hands, working in vacuum without life support. Projects that should have taken years were completed in months. Rachel, Foster's psychic cores monitored all human space for threats. Their linked minds could process information from thousands of sources simultaneously. They detected problems before they became dangerous and solved them before anyone else even knew they existed. But it was their emotional detachment that worried Dr. Carter the most. During her psychological evaluations, the enhanced soldiers showed responses that were barely human. They cared about humanity's survival, but they didn't seem to care about individual humans. When Carter asked Ben Tucker about the 3 billion people who had died in the original attack, his answer chilled her. They served their purpose, Doctor. Their deaths motivated the decision to wake us up. In a sense, they died so that humanity could survive. President Maria Santos found herself governing a species that was changing faster than she could understand. The enhanced soldiers didn't disobey orders, but they interpreted them in ways that served their own understanding of what humanity needed. When she asked them to reduce their presence in civilian areas, they complied by becoming invisible. They were still there, watching and protecting, but normal humans couldn't see them anymore. The illusion of normal life returned, but everyone knew it was just an illusion. Captain Ryan Hayes, no, Admiral Hayes, commanded a fleet that included ships crewed entirely by enhanced soldiers. These vessels patrolled the galaxy's edge, hunting for threats that might endanger human colonies. They found things out there that would have terrified normal humans. We've detected 17 different species that show hostile intent toward humanity. Ben Tucker reported during a military briefing. Some are planning invasion fleets. Others are developing biological weapons. We're dealing with them quietly. When Admiral Hayes asked what dealing with them meant, the answer was disturbing. The enhanced soldiers were taking preemptive action against potential threats. They were eliminating alien civilizations that might someday become dangerous to humanity. You're committing genocide, Hayes said. Ben Tucker's expression didn't change. We're ensuring humanity's survival. The architects taught us that peaceful coexistence isn't possible. Other species will always see us as a threat, so we make sure they can't act on that perception. Dr. Carter tried to understand what the enhanced soldiers had become by studying their brain scans. What she found defied explanation. Their neural patterns showed activity in regions that didn't exist in normal human brains. They were thinking with parts of their minds that human anatomy couldn't account for. They're not just enhanced humans, she reported to President Santos. They're something new. Something that evolution never intended. The enhanced soldiers' capabilities continued to grow. They had begun building technology that normal humans couldn't understand, using principles that seemed to violate physics. Their ships could travel faster than light without using conventional drives. Their weapons could destroy matter at the quantum level. Jake Morrison, still commanding Aegis Station, watched enhanced soldier ships come and go from Earth orbit. The vessels looked wrong now, with hulls that seemed to shift and change when he wasn't looking directly at them. The enhanced soldiers had been modifying their equipment using captured alien technology, creating hybrid systems that worked better than either human or architect designs alone. The captured architect, still held in the interrogation facility, provided one final warning. Its crystalline body had begun to crack from prolonged exposure to human space, but its message was clear. You think you have won, it told Ben Tucker during their last conversation, but you have only accelerated your transformation. In saving your species, you have doomed it to become something else entirely. Ben's response was calm. Change is the only constant in the universe. We choose to guide our change rather than be victims of it. The architect's colors shifted to what the translation device indicated was pity. You no longer have a choice. The change guides itself now. President Santos addressed the surviving human population on the anniversary of the attack. 8 billion. People had lived on Earth a year ago. 3 billion had died in the alien attack. 5 billion remained, but they were no longer the same species that had existed before the war. "We have survived our greatest test," she said to the cameras. "We have proven that humanity will not be destroyed by those who underestimate us. But we have also learned that survival requires sacrifice. We are no longer the people we were a year ago." In the audience, normal humans listened to their president's words. But scattered throughout the crowd, enhanced soldiers watched with eyes that reflected light in patterns no human eyes should show. They applauded at the appropriate moments, but their expressions remained. EMOTIONL ESES. Dr. Carter visited one of the Prometheus vaults that remained sealed. According to the records, this facility contained enhanced soldiers designed for threats that humanity hadn't encountered yet. The vault was programmed to open automatically if certain conditions were met. Through the reinforced windows, she could see rows of sleeping figures. These soldiers had been modified to fight creatures from other dimensions, entities that fed on the collapse of civilizations, and things worse than anything the galaxy had produced so far. "What were you planning to fight?" she asked Amy Davis, who had accompanied her to the vault. Amy looked troubled. "Things we hoped we'd never encounter. But the universe is vast, and it contains horrors that make the architects look peaceful." As if responding to her words, one of the sleeping figures in the vault opened its eyes. The automated systems immediately began revival procedures. Dr. Carter watched in horror as the figure sat up on its bed and looked directly at her through the window. Its eyes were not black like Ben Tucker's, but seemed to contain swirling galaxies. When it smiled, she could see that its teeth had been replaced with what looked like miniature stars. "Why is it waking up?" Carter asked. Amy checked the vault's control systems. The automated monitoring detected something. A threat approaching from outside the galaxy. The enhanced soldiers had eliminated the immediate threat to humanity, but their actions had attracted attention from things much worse than the architects. By demonstrating humanity's willingness to transform itself into weapons, they had announced to the universe that Earth contained a species willing to become anything necessary to survive. Ben Tucker received the alert about the new awakening while coordinating patrols at the edge of human space. He processed the information with mechanical calm, then began issuing new orders to his units. "All enhanced divisions return to Earth immediately," he commanded. "We have a new situation developing." When Admiral Hayes asked about the nature of the threat, Ben's answer was typically direct. "Something that makes the architects look like children playing with toys." Dr. Carter watched the enhanced soldiers return to Earth orbit. Their ships moved in formations that hurt to look at, using travel methods that seemed to fold space around them. They had become something beyond human understanding, but they were still humanity's protectors. The final scene took place in the same conference room where President Santos had made the decision to wake the enhanced soldiers. She sat with her advisors, looking at reports that described threats approaching from the void between galaxies. "We opened Pandora's box," she said quietly. Ben Tucker, now serving as Earth's security director, stood at the window looking out at space. "Pandora's box was already open, Madam President. We just made sure we had the tools to deal with what came out of it." Dr. Carter spoke from her seat at the table. "But what happens when we become worse than the things we're fighting?" Ben turned from the window, his crystalline enhanced eyes reflecting the light of distant stars. "And the universe learns to fear us instead of the other way around."